But to be honest with you, I think to some degree, the whole system's broken because what you see out there is you see companies post jobs they have no intention of filling anytime soon, right? Um, they put candidates through a pretty onerous interview process that can take weeks, if not months. So, for example, I had an opportunity one time where over a period of 5 weeks, I interviewed 10 times with 11 people. And after all that time, they said, oh, we're going to move on with somebody else. So you ask yourself, isn't there an easy way to figure out whether or not you're the person or not the person? So it's a really different market this year than I've seen it in the past.
That's interesting you say that because, a lot of the folks out there, you'll see a lot of job postings come up on all these websites. You'll hear about it, but then, you'll hear people continue to say that, hey, it's really going through this process. And it seems like, are they really hiring or not? And in your experience, Rim, what are these recruiters, headhunters, or people that are the hiring managers saying to you when you are talking to them? Because you just provided a great example of, okay, hey, I've gone through this process, and they're saying, hey, you go through five. Is it is it something that the recruiters are giving you the honest truth, or what's your opinion on it, on your experience? Because you've talked to a good amount of people.
Yeah, I think you got to split the recruiters into two piles. One pile is the recruiter who works for a company, and then the other pile is the recruiter who's either a retained recruiter or they're doing it on a contingency basis, right? And so if you think about the latter pile, a lot of those people have a certain number of candidates they need to review before they come back to the company that's hired them and present certain candidates. And I think in general, what you'll hear is somebody will position you or talk about you as like you're the next best thing to sliced bread, right? And so that gets you really amped up. And so you'll have a pretty good conversation with that person, and then the term that's pretty common now of ghosting is what often occurs. You're excited about the opportunity. You've talked to the recruiter and you never hear back from them, even if you ping them with 2 or 3 emails and even sometimes leave them voicemail. And that can be very frustrating, right? Because I think for everyone who's looking for a job, when a recruiter reaches out to you, whether they're outside a company or they're in the company, there's a certain amount of excitement that you spin up with yourself, right? Like, oh, this could be the opportunity. And then you have to prepare yourself for the interview. So you research the company, and you may not spend a lot of time on an initial interview, but you're putting time and energy into something that all of a sudden just vanishes into the wind. And that can be really frustrating. On the internal recruiters, I think they have a stronger view on what the company is looking for, but the same thing can often happen there, because I think what happens with companies is they post a position. Some of them post it kind of in a fishing exercise to see who's out there, right?
Right, right.
Then others will post it and then not really have any intention of filling it anytime soon, right? So on the company side, a lot of companies aren't truly focused on filling a role. For example, you can go on LinkedIn and see a position where 100 people have applied in the last day. And if you go to the thing, you'll see that in some cases there's over 1,000 people that have applied, right? And that's craziness. So the downside of that is HR can only review so many candidates, right? So when there's 1,200 candidates, probably what they're doing is reviewing the first maybe 30 or 40 that come in the door. And so I think the big challenge for people in the job market is the emotional roller coaster that you can get yourself on, right? You hear of an opportunity, you have one interview, maybe you have two, maybe you have three or four, and your spirits are lifted, right? And then all of a sudden that goes away, and now the car's going down to the bottom of the hill, right? And that's probably one of the most challenging parts of looking for employment, is just that emotional roller coaster, because one day you'll be high as a kite, and then the next day you're like, I don't even want to get out of bed and even think about this.